Collectors Club.
Big Hairy Summer.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bigfoot Collectors Club, the show where we talk to amazing guests about their personal paranormal history and share stories of high strangeness. I'm your host, Michael McMillan. With me always is your other host,
Bryce Johnson.
and our super producer,
Riley Bray.
Hello, boys. Happy
Hi.
Big Hairy Summer. We're in the final weeks. I can't believe it.
The Dogman days.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah, I love that every time we say it, it sounds, we forget that we said it the
We're
week
like,
before.
that's pretty good.
It's always,
Did we say it the week before?
Yeah, we
I
said
don't
it the week
recall.
We've said
before.
it several times, yeah.
and then I think it was also a theme on the Patreon in like 2018. So it's
Yeah.
been
All
around for a while.
It's been one of
We're
those
not-
years.
What more can we ask for?
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, it's gone by too quickly, but we are saving the biggest stuff for the end of the summer. You may have heard the announcement last week. More details are coming in, so we'll keep you posted. Save the date, August 24th in Los Angeles. We are doing a live in-person show at 2-Bit Circus in downtown LA.
Yes.
2-Bit Circus is this really cool venue. It's got a huge room with games, a bar, food, all that stuff. And then there's a theater inside of there. We'll be inside the theater. Doors open at 6, shows at 7:30. So you can come at 6, play some games. Your admission, I should say, to the show includes like a $20 card to buy drinks and play games. So it's a fun package. We're having a Bigfoot's 65th birthday bash at 2-Bit Circus on August 24th.
It's Bigfoot's birthday party. You got to be
Yeah.
there. This
Yeah,
is
you
the
gotta
type
come.
of place Michael and I would open if we had millions of dollars just sitting around
Yeah.
collecting dust.
Exactly. So
A bunch of those games are VR too. There's like a flying game where you can like be a dinosaur and like it's pretty.
Yeah.
It's a pretty wild place.
There was
Yeah.
a life-size game of Hungry Hippo. I mean, all kinds of cool
just
stuff.
one. There's only one hippo though. It's just
Yeah.
one hungry hippo. He ate the other hippos.
We were there for a business meeting walkthrough, and I was like that guy. Oh, cool! Look at this, Bryce. Come back over here, Bryce. We got to
Hold
talk.
on.
Yeah, classic
into it.
arcade games. We got it all. So you can come, play some games, get some drinks, get some food, then come see our show at 7:30. If you're out of town, our friends at popclounge.com will be live streaming the event. So you can get tickets to the live stream as well at popclounge.com or in person at 2bitcircus.com. And of course, as with all of our shows, we're going to have some very special guests there. So stay tuned for fun announcements on our threads and Instagram account at Bigfoot Collectors Club. So there's that. Also, I want to remind everybody, summer ain't over yet. So make sure you stop by our store at BigfootCollectorsClub.com and pick up your big hairy summer tee. They're already selling out. I know some sizes are gone. So get in there and get your shirt. This is a one and done, baby. So get this shirt before it goes away.
Mine arrived and it's already become my favorite summer tee.
Yeah, it's
Caitlin
great.
was even like, that's pretty cool. I was like, I know, right?
All right. Well, let's get into this week's episode. We have an expert episode this week. We're going to be shooting from the hip here with a dear friend of ours. He's been on the show before. Bryce, I'm going to let you do the honors of bringing in our special guest.
Mhm.
Yeah, without further ado, let's just bring him right in. Our next guest needs no introduction. You know him from hit shows like Expedition Bigfoot and Paranormal Caught on Camera, one of my other favorite shows.
Mhm.
He's the author of the Monsterland book series, the best-selling Monsterland book series, and he's the perfect person to discuss all things big and hairy. We're talking about, welcome back to the show, Mr. Ronny Le Blanc. Welcome back, Ronny.
What's up, boys? How are you?
Ronny, it's been a
What's going on,
minute.
man?
It's been a
What's
minute,
up?
Ronny.
It's been a long time.
I
miss you
know.
guys.
What? So we
Why?
have a couple things we want to talk to you about today.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, we'll get into all of this. First of all, we need to catch up with everything that's been going on in Monsterland and everything that's been going on in your world. And also, I want to talk a little bit about how do we approach Bigfoot hunting, for lack of a better term, questing as we like to call it, in 2023. I know you're a guy that's got you've got great ideas and a big imagination. So I'm really also looking forward to just picking your brain about, are we going about looking for Bigfoot in the right way to begin with? But also, we've had a problem all summer long. The summer that we don't theme it after aliens, we keep getting invaded by aliens. Wet hot alien summer just keeps striking back.
Yeah.
Ronnie, would you like to talk aliens with us?
Yes, please.
Great.
Please.
All right.
Yes.
Well, then get ready, Riley Bray, because we have some
Really stretched that one out there.
Wow.
All right. As I'm sure our listeners must know by this point, UFOs are back in the news and hotter than ever. That's right. On July 26th, there was a congressional hearing. Former intelligence officer David Grush, aka the whistleblower, testified at a congressional hearing where he detailed government efforts to hide information about alien encounters. I want to refer to this New York Post article I read, written by none other than friend of the show, Ryan Sprague.
Wow.
Nice.
Somewhere in the Skies podcast. Ryan says, on a warm summer evening in 1995, my father and I witnessed what we believed was a UFO hovering silently over the St. Lawrence River in central New York State. I was 12 years old at the time and had no idea what I was looking at or how drastically that encounter would affect my life. Fearing ridicule, I didn't speak about what I saw for many years, but I did begin researching UFOs and would spend the next 3 decades interviewing witnesses like myself who claimed to have encountered alien spacecrafts, along with former military and intelligence officials who alleged that information on UFOs was being hidden from the nation. But no matter how many claims I heard, the public simply refused to pay attention until now. This week, a House Oversight Subcommittee held an unprecedented public hearing on UFOs. The hearing included detailed testimony by, among others, the former intelligence officer, David Grush, who's become known as the UFO whistleblower. The bipartisan-led effort was a response to an increase of UFO reports by military pilots, along with stunning claims that the United States was in possession of, quote, craft of non-human origin. The movement to expose the government's involvement in apparent UFO cover-ups began back in 2017 when the New York Times revealed highly secretive Pentagon-run UFO program ATIP, along with investigations into supposed encounters between UFO and U.S. Navy. So suddenly, the topic of UFOs took on a level of gravitas I've been waiting for since I was a kid. Sorry, Ryan, I'm going to back out there. We know what we're talking about. We heard it enough. Yeah, and I guess the big bombshell was here. Grush talks about in these recovered spacecraft programs, they were able to get their hands on some, quote, non-human biologics, otherwise referring to alien pilots.
Hello, green
Ronnie,
man. That's what that means.
Yeah.
What's your take on all this, man?
It's like the idea that they go from UFOs to UAPs, and the idea of just say aliens or just say pilots, but the non-biologics, I think that was huge. The multi-dimensional piece that he brought up, I think that's the bigger news that's not getting talked about enough.
Unpack that a little bit.
Tell us about that. Yeah.
Well, he brings up the holographic principle, this idea like that in our world, we're creating this shadow. It's almost as if from these other dimensions, the idea of seeing these lights is actually a signature, a shadow of them kind of coming through into our dimension. And so this idea that this is how they're coming in and out, I think is really interesting that he brings that up. And obviously the biologics, non-human biologics is huge because that says these are not piloted by humans. There's something else behind, and this could be something that's a mix of almost like a cyborg type thing, AI. We don't know, but the idea that there's something else, and that we've heard these stories of them having bodies, going back to Nixon, showing Jackie Gleason and everything else, right? So I think it's a huge win for the UFO world, and I still think there's elements of reality that I think is going to be impacted, where people are going to understand that, okay, the idea that something can potentially read your mind, telepathy, and pop in and out when it wants to, wherever it wants to, is a scary thought.
Yeah. Now I want to take this opportunity to pick a fight with a scientist. Over the weekend, Neil deGrasse Tyson tweeted.
Yes, thank you, Bryce.
To be clear, all animal, plant, and microbial life on Earth, minus humans, constitutes, quote, non-human biologics. Way to poo-poo it there, Neil deGrasse. Do we really need to do that?
Wait a minute.
This is his way of, like, he's been saying there's no aliens, and then there are congressional hearings saying that there's essentially aliens, and he's still kind of like, well, it doesn't necessarily mean. It's like, shut up.
Well, I think there's like, well, wait a minute. You just ran into making our point for us, where, look, if this is non-human but terrestrial, and you're telling me there's some sort of animal or plant life form out there that's here, that's flying around in these things, then we're still in alien territory, right? Because we want to know about that. Then we're in like Bigfoot territory. Then you're talking cryptids. You're talking about another species, intelligent species that we're sharing the planet with. Well, then great. You know what I mean? We'll take that answer too.
Absolutely.
I feel like it's been a couple of years since I've been on the show, the podcast, and prior to us, my wife and I, the kids, moving to our new house, which is on Elm Street, right next to Leominster State Forest.
Oh boy!
No way!
I swear to God. We were looking for a house forever, and she finally finds one, and it's like right down the road. But prior to that, and Bryce, I don't know if I told you this story, but we were in the garage and we were talking, and something had brushed my wife's leg, and she's like, something just touched my leg, and we were kind of like continue talking, and then maybe a minute later, same spot, something hit her leg again, and she was like, Ronnie, something like brushed hit my leg. What? So we're kind of like weird. And we were talking about, I brought up the fact of when we move to the new house, we're going to be closer. We're going to experience some weird stuff. And then after the third time, she said it felt like like she felt feathers. Okay. Weird. Like a wing. And she goes, I'm getting like fairy vibes. That's what she said. And I go, I think we need to go outside. I think someone's trying to get your attention. So we get up out of the garage and we start walking to the house, which is a short walk. Our driveway is not long. And as we're walking out, we look up. I look up above the roof of our house, and there's a reddish orange, the size of a bus, made of plasma, like what you would describe as a thunderbird, a phoenix, a dragon. I swear to God. Moving and chasing after a green one. And they were like dolphins swimming in the ocean above the house. I was literally like looking at my wife, like, are you seeing this? Like, my jaw dropped, completely silent. And they moved across the sky. And I was like, what the F, I had this feeling to like just stick around.
Yeah.
Let's stick around and see what else might come through, right?
I think Top Chef is on. Let's go inside.
That was cool.
I was like blown away what we just experienced. I mean, they were huge. And I was like, I have a feeling something else is going to be coming through, right? And a minute or so later, we see this green ball of light spinning, glowing, and following the same path like it's on some kind of railway. And after that, we see off in the distance something kind of coming in like a sparrow, how a sparrow would fly, where it flaps its wings and it drops down a little bit and then it comes back up. And we see this thing coming, following that same path. And my wife pulls out her phone and captures as 3 or 4 seconds of this thing flying over.
Yes.
All completely silent. but it was one of those moments where I was like, I'm witnessing not nuts and bolts UFOs, but living beings, like celestial beings. And I just got that vibe of Thunderbirds. And the fact that you talked about the feathers touching her leg. And I had a psychic medium tell me I have some connection to the Thunderbirds. And I was like, all right, that's super cool, but what does that mean? And that was prior to this experience, which was fucking weird. You know what I mean? Like I never, if someone said they exist, I would still be like, eh. But after this, I was like, okay, I kind of understand that these things are more like celestial, almost like angelic looking or what have you, but seem to be that same material of like the orange orbs, kind of like that fire flame kind of.
How?
And I found,
sorry, go on. No. I was just keep going, please.
Well, I was trying to find online if there was anything similar to this. And it looked like there was a video of someone witnessing the same freaking thing of a red, like Phoenix, like Thunderbird chasing after a green one. The same kind of situation. And I got to try to find where that was, because I'm trying to kind of, I'm curious if anybody else has actually seen this, but I just find it fascinating why, this little Skinwalker Ranch type places having this kind of stuff happening all around. It's like, holy crap.
When you say two questions. First is the shape of it, like how much detail did you see? If this was like, was it sort of like loosely the shape of a bird, or was it like, oh, I can see feathers, an eyeball, a beak? Like how? Okay.
So imagine something. Great question. Imagine something kind of made of flames that has this form that seems to be kind of changing shape as it goes. You're not seeing any like eyes or facial features, but you're seeing what would be best described as a dragon. Okay. Right? Like a Chinese dragon or a fiery phoenix or a Native American thunderbird. Maybe they're all the same type of thing, but that's what was like perplexing. And the way they moved was very serpentine-like, very dragon-like. And I just got that feeling of like, this was like watching dolphins swimming underwater, but up in the sky. Wow. It was awesome. And I was so pissed that I did not, just start recording.
Right.
But I didn't want to take my eyes off of it. I was just like this, and my wife, I was like, snaps out of it, like pulls out the phone. So
well, I got a couple. I mean, Ronnie, how did your wife's photos come out? Did those were they?
So there's a video, and there's like 4 seconds of it, and strangely, I know I have it on my drive, but it's not on my phone anymore. But I know she has it. She freeze frames it right before, like it's flying over. It's 9:30 at night. So this thing's glowing like whitish blue and moving in that same fashion, almost like a smaller version of those, Thunderbird type things. But I almost get a vibe like something different. But she freezes it for a moment and you see wings.
No.
Yeah. Wow. And so the other feeling of like this angel or angelic or some kind of feeling was just kind of like, the fact that it had almost wings, and I'll go through her phone after this, and I'll try to get the video and the screenshot of it. But
please do. Our listeners would love that.
It was pretty incredible, and like if somebody else told me this, you just kind of would go, okay,
right.
But and it reminded me of another guy that had experienced a lot of strange stuff, and I talk about him in my second book. This guy, Tom, who was seeing these strange lights. He lives not too far away. And he witnessed something similar. He described an orange, flamey thing, something the size of a bus, seemingly taking off from his backyard, from the woods, from the back, like taking off like a craft. But then I started wondering, could that be that same type of thing? Sure. I don't know. But I'm wondering if more people are seeing this kind of stuff just over the past few years. I don't know.
How high above your house, or how far off was this stuff?
Lower than what a plane would fly.
Okay.
Like enough that's what fascinated me, was the timing
Mm-hmm.
of walking out and turning, and then it comes right into view. Like,
Wow.
you know what I mean? And that,
Yeah.
and it was level enough that I could clearly see it. So if my roof is here, it was like this much over my house off in the distance. I couldn't really judge altitude wise, but enough that you're like, okay, it's like lower than what a plane would be flying, and just seeing it going across, I was like, what in the? It was.
And it
crazy.
seems to be this sort of personal anticipatory experience. I mean, the feeling, the strange feather in your garage, almost as if it was like, there
Coaxing,
for you both, coaxing you out, summoning you to be a part of this experience. And I've always said it, and people who have read your books, if they haven't, they should go get them. But Ronnie, I feel like you're just an antenna, man, for this type of stuff. I mean, you are tuned in, and I always credit a lot of more of the high strangeness, a lot of the stuff that we experience on Expedition Bigfoot. I'm like, that's because Ronnie's here, and I'm so grateful you are. It just can you? I mean, talk about that.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because one thing that popped in my mind as you're talking about that is, and I think I might have mentioned this before, that Amy kind of has the shine as well, where she had seen, and we might have talked about this before, Wachusett Reservoir, which is known to have reports of people seeing gray aliens hiding behind trees, peek behind trees, UFOs coming in and out of the water. And she was working at Wachusett Country Club, which had a beautiful view of Wachusett Woods and the reservoir.
And where's Wachusett's?
So Wachusett Reservoir is 10 minutes from Monsterland. It's Wachusett Mountain is another big area around here that very Native Americans consider a lot of these areas kind of sacred.
And for our listeners at home, what state?
In Massachusetts.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Yes, Massachusetts, in Central Mass. And so she was working at night, and it was during the 4th of July, which ironically, it's one of the top 2 days where people will have a UFO sighting, because we're looking up. But I also think there's something about the fireworks that they're attracted to. So they were cleaning up, they were closing. There was her and another girl at the time, and the fireworks were going off in the distance. And to the right, they saw what looked like a firework, and the girl said, "Hey, that one's going in the wrong direction."
Whoa.
And it was coming down from the sky and heading towards Wachusett Reservoir, and it was a green ball of light. And it went into the water without making a wake, without making a sound.
Whoa.
2 weeks later, she's out there again, and this is during the summertime, golf season and everything. And there are about 4 or 5 people there, and I believe it was after like a wedding or another event. And they see the green light, all of them together, same area, trajectory, and goes into the same spot and goes into the water. And she calls me because a few minutes later, she's witnessing a short, gray alien-looking thing peeking behind the trees.
Whoa.
From her, yeah. And she was like on the phone. She's like, "There's something behind the tree," like freaking out. So when she gets home and everything, we're talking about this, she then realizes that she has seen this green light before as a kid. She's actually seen a light go into this area called Crystal Lake from the sky into the lake.
Wait, Crystal Lake, that's Jason Voorhees.
Elm
not
Street.
Right.
Crystal Lake, man. You're living in
I'm not making this shit up.
That's so funny.
So here's the interesting thing. The fact that she got kind of like touched in the leg 3 times, and my number's 3. Like I, for whatever reason, I was born on the 3rd, January 3rd. But anyways, she goes outside and she sees this, and the reddish orange thing I almost kind of connect with as myself, and the green one is almost like hers. And so they were kind of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
for sure.
Right.
So there's a weird, and I don't know if it means anything, but I just thought that, she also experienced, and I don't know if we talked about this, while we're filming for the show, I think we were in Alaska. Yeah, when we were filming, we had just moved in the house, and 7 days later, I had to leave to go film. She was driving right down a road. There's a little valley that kind of comes through, and we're right next to the state park, which is about 80 acres, called Barrett Park. Our property abuts this thing. And as she's coming down, she has a couple of the kids in the car. It's 9:30 at night. She slams on the brakes because somebody comes out of the woods onto the road, and she thinks she's going to hit this person. And as she's sliding forward, she sees through this person. It's a tall being that looks like static electricity on your TV screen, and it goes across the road into the woods. And she pulls over, opens the door, and they're looking to see if she can't hear anything, nothing. But she said it almost looked like, she's like, it wasn't like a Bigfoot form. It was a tall, 7 foot tall, humanoid looking,
like a tall gray almost form.
Yes It looked like almost like a Slender Man is what she equated it to.
Weird.
So,
oh boy, this is wild stuff. We got to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk more about this, and then I have a couple, if we want to still talk about it, I have a couple thoughts on this sighting that you had that I want to share.
Yes, please.
Hey, Bryce's weird friends. Uncle Dickie here. Today we're here with a sponsor for your bouncing bundle of joy. No, we're not talking about a baby. We're talking about your baby makers.
Hey, Uncle Dickie.
That's right. Today's show is brought to you by Manscaped.
But just like babies, you delicate little guys have sensitive skin and deserved products that are not only skin safe, but made with safe ingredients. And looking at you two podcast jockeys, I can tell you guys are extra sensitive. Where?
All right, thanks, Uncle D.
Easily upset, huh, Mikey?
Yeah, we get it.
Because you're nerds.
Anyway, that's where Manscaped Platinum Package comes in. From razors to shower care, this package goes above the gold standard for your body hair.
So treat your beautiful boys to the world's finest toys at manscaped.com and use our code BCC for 20% off plus free shipping.
Listen, these fun, fine friends at Manscaped, they wanted to ask me about how Manscaped has helped with my confidence, and I'll tell you what, I guess I do feel more confident using this product. I mean, you look for solutions to make yourself look better any way possible, and sometimes those solutions are easy, and I feel like Manscaped is one of those solutions. I love this product. I love this.
Okay, that's enough. You're creeping us out.
No, I'm just saying.
Come on.
I love the product. It's great. It's so easy to use. And grooming, self-grooming has never been easier. I'll just say that.
Look, inside this platinum package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0, trimmer, weed whacker, ear and nose hair trimmer, ultra premium body wash, ultra premium 2-in-1 shampoo plus conditioner, ultra premium deodorant, crop preserver, anti-chafing ball deodorant, crop reviver ball spray toner, anti-chafing boxes, and the shed travel bag to hold your goods while you're traveling. That's so much stuff.
That was a mouthful, Uncle Dickie.
I bet you know all about that, Riley.
All right, Uncle Dickie. In addition to shaving, you can now completely upgrade your shower routine with the Ultra Premium Body Wash and Ultra Premium 2-in-1 Shampoo and Conditioner. You'll have your skin and hair feeling hydrated and smelling fresh.
And don't forget to apply their aluminum-free, that's very important, Ultra Premium Deodorant for that cologne quality scent on the go.
The Platinum Package 4.0 covers all bases, from head to toe and hair to ball throw.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BCC at manscaped.com.
That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code BCC. Use the Platinum Package because the gold standard is no longer good enough.
All right. So, Ronnie, when you were telling the story, I was thinking about a past guest we had named Lucas Held, who he had a similar incident. This is back in BCC 81, where he saw a serpentine-like thing flying over his house. He's also had some experiences, I believe, involving orbs as well.
Wow.
But this thing was black, he said, and it looked like a black snake flying through the sky, but the way you described it, very similar to that. So this does ring bells, you know what I mean? I think people have had these. What I'm surprised by, and I think a lot of people listening would be too, is the ability that you have to connect. Okay, if you're feeling something on your leg, honey, let's go outside and look in the sky. Where does that come from? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've really learned to trust my gut and to trust these thoughts that seem to kind of bubble up from somewhere. And I've kind of honed in on it. And for sure, doing these expeditions with Bryce is one of the ways that it's gotten more like laser focused. And it's interesting because we had, I swear to God, as soon as we got here, like stuff started kind of going off because we had some weird stuff happening every time we're in the backyard and Bryce may know this story where it was like rocks were hitting our shed. And I just kind of dismissed it as like acorns. Like right now they're starting to drop now, early ones. And so,
Right.
But it was almost like a louder kind of bang. And you kind of kept on looking over, and I just kind of paid it no attention. And this went on for a couple of weeks. And then right around the same time frame. So just dismissed it, whatever. And then Amy was out there again. There's Amy on the phone with her sister on the deck facing the woods, and she can hear something huge, she says, kind of crashing through back there, and she can't see anything. She's trying to figure out what it is, and she's yelling to me, and I'm in my office, so I don't hear her initially. And then as she's sitting there and she's trying to look, she says she sees, and this is a pretty good distance, a rock come flying out of the woods and then slam into our shed. And this is what freaked her out, was the rock. When you throw a ball or whatever, even a rock, there's an arc to it, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
She said this thing came out like a major league pitcher. It was a straight shot, like it went.
Give him the heater, Rick.
Dude, and it made a hole in the shed, and her sister could hear it on the other end of the phone.
Wow.
So I finally came out, and she's like, something big was going, and then a rock comes flying out. So you talk about that feeling of, where to kind of follow these gut feelings. Well, my gut feeling then was text Chris Duncan, remote viewer, and see if he can see anything right now in my backyard.
Cool.
Yeah, that's
Smart.
amazing.
So-
Always good to have a remote viewer on
Yes.
the contact list.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm like, and I go, I know this motherfucker's not gonna think I'm crazy. So I blasted him a text, and I was like, dude, I need you to zone in right now at my house. And I gave him the directions, like coordinates, like you would latitude, longitude. I'm like, here's my address, just so you have something to kind of focus in on.
Yeah.
And I said, Amy just had a rock come flying out of the woods. We've had some weird activity, and now I'm starting to kind of put it together. And the way I described the whole thing, and I said, can you look and see if you're picking up on anything? And I see him like texting back, right? And the dots are popping up. I'm like, waiting, like, come on, And he goes, you're on to something. And I'm like, what the fuck? What is he talking about? He goes, I'm seeing a juvenile cloaking, throwing rocks at your shed while a parental figure is standing by and watching this go down.
Whoa.
Wow.
And I was like, and I, again, coming from Chris, I kind of was like, no, really? Like,
When he says juvenile, we're talking juvenile Bigfoot type creature.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
For those audience members who may not know, we used Chris Duncan on season 3 of Expedition Bigfoot. He hit so many targets to lead us to those Bigfoot nests. It was insane how accurate this guy's remote viewing capabilities are. Not only that, what audience members probably didn't see is during one of the recap episodes, we put him on the spot. He had no idea this was happening. And Dr. Maria was like, okay, well, do me.
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah.
Oh, okay, I don't have a pencil or a pad. And he was scrambling to sort of find some tools. I don't even think he ever ended up finding a pencil, but he was like, okay, well, get something in your mind or just a place. and I can work from there. And lo and behold, he went on to describe this childhood memory locale that she found. She was almost in tears. She was like, I cannot believe you were able to, describe to me this place that hardly anybody in my life knows about. So this remote viewing capability is incredible. I need his number on speed dial. And then Ronnie, my second question is can we have a slumber party over at your place soon?
Yeah,
dude.
Trying to see some dragons.
Can we make this happen? Where we can
absolutely.
Where we can maybe set up like an event we can all do together out here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can do a camp out at my house.
Oh yeah,
backyard, and we can walk right into the trails. We can go walk up the road to Lumsden State Forest. We can go through there. That'd be amazing.
I'm in 100%.
All right.
I've been thinking about this a lot, especially with the UFO hearings and stuff like this. And, doing this show for as long as we have. And, I'm kind of like where you are, I think, a little bit, Ronnie, on these, these UFO UAP phenomena. To me, it seems more interdimensional, transitory, celestial, psychic in a sense, as opposed to just straight nuts and bolts physical craft from God knows where. And I hear testimony in the hearing like this, and what they're describing is a reverse engineering of an actual craft with piloted occupants. And I'm going, well, God, it just tears me, because I'm like, okay, maybe that's true too. Or because I don't really feel along the lines that that's not the answer. It's not that they're looking in the wrong direction. But then I think about something like Roswell and the crash that happened there, and I go, well, God, that's seems to me to be nuts and bolts with piloted occupants as well. So I'm constantly going back and forth and torn. I'm torn asunder. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck to believe, or what's going on, or where to put my chips. And and it can be frustrating, this UFO UAP topic. Well,
not even that. Even a lot of these Bigfoot stories and encounters and reports where, in Pennsylvania, 73, the lady pops open her door and she has a shotgun and there's a Bigfoot standing there, and she blasts it. The thing disappears in a flash of light. Yeah. And then the next morning, her son comes over and they're finding 16, 17-inch footprints all around the house, circling the house. So how the hell does something that disappears in a flash of light generate enough physical form or weight to generate these footprints? Mm-hmm. So they're able to kind of go in between or what have you. And UFOs seem to have the same ability. And the whole, I think the idea too about, Bigfoot, I think, is the number 2 around the corner. I kind of jokingly, and not jokingly, but I kind of pushed out there in social media a month or so ago about Bigfoot disclosure. Like, we need to have that. And I wonder if we will hear some stories from some of this UAP and UFO stuff, that they maybe mention something about a being that's tall and hairy that is connected with a craft or something like that, which kind of starts to unravel this onion a little bit.
It would really help our podcast.
That's a good point.
The thing too that I want to keep in mind when we talk about like the congressional hearings, for example, like, I'm excited by all this stuff coming out, but I'm ready for the firsthand witnesses to start talking, because the thing that we have to keep in mind with Grush is, like, he's hearing a lot of this stuff secondhand, the biologic stuff. Like, I want the people who have seen this stuff to start talking and be able to describe it directly. Sure. Because I think that's where the credibility really lies for me. And this, Ronnie, witnessing stuff yourself and hearing people's stories, YouTube rise, firsthand accounts of Bigfoot. This thing looked like this, but behaved this way. I want this stuff because I feel like the only places we really have it are some of the Roswell affidavits, where we talk about the bodies having mouths that have just little pockets. They're just like, they don't go anywhere. There's no esophagus. There's no genitalia. There's no belly button. They rotted. They smelled weird. So they must be biological, but you also get a sense that they are machine-like or genetically created or some sort of replicant made specifically to be part of the central nervous system of this UFO craft, So I'm excited. Like, obviously we have pilots talking about what they've seen in the sky, but we need to get some firsthand witnesses testifying to Congress about what these biologics are exactly.
Yeah,
definitely. But correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Graves and David Fravor, didn't they both have firsthand accounts that they talked about in that hearing? I believe they
did. No, that's a great point. Absolutely, they did. Yeah, and they saw the craft firsthand and chased it down in their
Well, that's what I'm saying about the craft firsthand. But I'm talking about when it comes to the bodies, when it comes to the occupants of these things. So far, this is all secondhand knowledge.
Well, I think that I think, and this is one point that we haven't really touched on as much yet, but what this congressional hearing has uncovered is a unsupervised government program that's actively like keeping these things hidden and also studying them and is taking all this funding, and like in order to get things to happen in government, it comes down to money. And now that's like what this whole whistleblower thing is that now they're like, we're blowing the whistle on a corruption in the government,
right?
And the result of that is revealing what that program was doing, and that's why this is like such a huge deal, because now the government is like taking a real look at these programs. And I think that is how we get to see what you're talking about, Michael. Like, whatever is behind the curtain, this is the step.
But even Grush, I guess what I'm saying is even Grush is hearing this stuff secondhand. He didn't work directly in those programs. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But this is the doorway towards getting to that next step.
And especially going into a presidential election where candidates are going to use this.
Yeah,
by all means.
So let's talk about Bigfoot in 2023. Where are we? Obviously, you guys have been off filming a show about this very subject for the past few years. But what methods work in 2023? What methods is it time to retire? And then what methods should be people using, Ronnie, that you feel like aren't? Because I feel like maybe using their instinct like you did with this feather sensation and going out and looking into the sky, maybe there's something to that when looking for Bigfoot.
Yeah, what can the kids at home try?
Yeah.
Black magic. I do think it's a great question. I do think that we're realizing that technology, however advanced, helps you get so far, but also seems to be limited in what we can actually do, that they can pick up on this or they can mess with it. There's a researcher from New Jersey, paranormal researcher, that was out researching there's this portal, sees a Bigfoot. It's not looking at him and he can't get his video camera to work, takes a picture, clear, and this thing turns around, looks at him, takes a picture, blurry. So do they have this ability to mess with the cameras, or are they at a higher vibrational frequency that it's not being able to be picked up by the camera? So that's why some pictures you see what looks like three faces like going in this weird direction. And I wonder what's kind of going on with that. So I think reconnecting on a spiritual and nature level, I've found psychic mediums, empaths, people that are connected to animals, nature, seem to have way more sightings, gifting, all this kind of stuff happening than somebody out there with a shotgun trying to get one of these things.
That makes sense.
It's almost as if the shotgun says, "Don't come anywhere near me."
Wanna play? So I think some of those methods, kind of getting back to that, and just like, you hear some of these stories where just setting up a campfire and breaking out an acoustic guitar and singing and hanging out and laughing, and then suddenly there's a a silhouette by the tree line watching, you know. So they're
Kind of like that in a way. It's like
100%.
Of course
yeah.
you do,
piques its
Riley. Of course you
curiosity.
do.
It's like, oh, hey, you guys hanging out? Playing some tunes?
And I do think the process of what people have talked about. I've been doing all these like library talks on a weekly basis throughout Massachusetts, like this little library tour, and it's been pretty amazing where people are sharing their personal experiences, and everyone in the audience is blown away that people are seeing Bigfoot and UFOs stuff like in their town, and they're like, what? And but the stories that are coming out that people are experiencing are pretty amazing, but they're also seem to be the people that are having those experiences seem to be oh yeah, we've seen UFOs, as kids, and then they have a Bigfoot experience. So there definitely seems to be some inner connection, correlation with that, and then also on the spiritual level too, like Betty Andreasen and growing up Christian. That was kind of my thing too, is growing up, went from Catholic to like a Pentecostal, and there seemed to be a weird spiritual tug of war happening when that transition occurred. Like we were seeing weird stuff in the house, and my mom would equate it to demonically being attacked, this kind of stuff. So where for me it was kind of like, I don't know if we can label it that just yet, because I have these other experiences, and I'm mystified and energized that there's this magic around us that's happening that we don't see all the time, that just kind of like charges me up, and I'm ready to keep on going. So I hope to see more of this shit.
What about I've always been curious about taking something like an Ouija board out into the woods and trying to contact Bigfoot with an Ouija board. Do you think that would work?
Ouija boards, for whatever reason, I don't like them.
Yeah. I wondered that's why I asked this question.
And
I got the impression you might not be into them.
And the reason being is I think it was because at a young age in school, there was several girls that were using one at different parties. And I remember like lifting the table and seeing stuff like that. But there was something, and it may be that, again, my religious upbringing, where it's like instantly like, if it's not of God, it's of the devil kind of thing. But the idea of like, you're essentially creating a portal that some people don't necessarily know how to. You might open it, and then shit, how do I lock this thing? It's fine. Right. And then shit's coming through. So that's the aspect of it that I don't like, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a popular
I don't know enough about it, but
yeah. No, I'm just trying to think of like occult tools or methods outside the ordinary that you might use. Instead of using a speaker with Bigfoot howls, why not try a different? I like the idea of like an animal psychic. Bring an animal psychic out into the woods. It seems like they would be able to connect pretty well.
I agree with that. I think also like dowsing rods I've used, which are really interesting when it comes to energy, and even bringing someone that is of Native American descent that is connected, that we could, hey, how do we kind of tap in, like a shaman that could help us kind of tap in a little bit more on the spiritual side of things. Because it's interesting, people just really seem to connect with the idea that Bigfoot could be this interdimensional alien type thing. It would explain the lack of bones and bodies and the blurry videos and photos. They're almost accepting of that idea, that concept. And I wonder if that's because it's close to the truth than most other concepts when it comes to Bigfoot. But
yeah. I think so. I think more and more stories are coming out that associate these types of sightings with these hairy cryptids with other aspects of high strangeness. And unfortunately, like most of the database, like stuff from the BFRO, they exclude that stuff.
Oh yeah, they scrub it out. Yeah,
they absolutely scrub it out. So all those reports are just your standard Bigfoot sighting, and anything that had any sort of stranger aspect of Bigfootery, as I call it, go along with one of those incidents or accounts that was tossed in the waste paper basket. And that's really the type of stuff that I like. is because I think in those types of stories and experiences is where you're going to find the good clues that can help us maybe scratch the surface a little bit more and get to the bottom of what's really taking place here. Because I think we can all sort of agree that, well, I hope we can, that it's not just some, undiscovered North American wood ape. You know what I mean? That just has eluded us for the last.
That needs to be a ringtone at this point. But say it in the same tone every time with the same rhythm.
Yeah.
Okay, Grandpa. Well,
okay, Grandpa. It's something else. There's a bigger mystery at play, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if it's connected to this, what we're calling the UAP phenomena as well. There's more to this story, and even to add on a little bit to what you were saying, Ronnie, I think it does have some aspect to do with our psychology, collective and individual. We are participants. We are participants in the world of high strangeness. So you take us out, and then you take the experience out. They won't.
Very
happen.
true.
It needs us.
Ronnie, usually on expert episodes we don't do this, but because it's you and because we're heading towards the end of Big Hairy Summer, I thought it'd be really fun to go back and play this game with you. I'm going to go down a list of phenomenon, rapid fire style. If you're open to it, you're going to say believe it. If you're not open to it, you're going to say bullshit.
Okay.
This is a game that we like to call Big Hairy Bullshit
or Believe It.
All right, Ronny Le Blanc, on your mark, get set, ghosts.
Believe it.
Bigfoot.
Believe it.
UFOs.
Believe it.
Mothman.
Believe it.
Dogman.
Believe it.
Bat Squatch.
Bullshit.
Hairy alien UFO nuts.
Believe it.
The Beast of Galvadon, the big wolf that was killing people in France 300
believe
years
it.
ago.
Believe it.
Goat Man.
Bullshit.
Momo, the Bigfoot of Missouri.
Believe it.
The Yowie, the Bigfoot of Australia.
Believe it.
The Jersey Devil.
Believe it.
Mystery Big Cats.
Believe it.
Sasquatch.
Believe it.
Bigfoot bodies were recovered after the eruption of Mount St. Helens.
Believe it.
Bigfoot creatures have penetrated the subterranean infrastructure of Edwards Air Force Base.
Believe it.
You, Ronny Le Blanc, could outsmart a werewolf.
Bullshit.
Interdimensional Sasquatch.
Believe it.
Telepathic Sasquatch.
Believe it.
Invisible Sasquatch.
Believe it.
Bigfoot looks blurry in every photo because he is blurry.
Believe it.
Finally, in our original timeline, the famous Bear family's last name was spelled Berenstein, not Berenstain.
Believe it. I do remember that as a child. I do remember it, and I was like, no, this is not right.
Got it. Great. Well, great job. I want to go back. Bat Squatch gets a no from Ronnie.
I guess I haven't heard enough for, if you told me that, the pink donkey of Utah.
Okay.
I guess I haven't heard enough or seen anything credible enough to say, oh yeah, that's possibly happening here.
Okay. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Who am I to say?
Fair enough. You were a big believe it on the Edwards Air Force Base story, which obviously you're familiar with.
Yes, there was a story about, I believe the supervisor to the military police telling the guys that work in the third shift with their starlight scopes as they're monitoring the base, if they witness any tall, hairy creatures roaming the base, to observe and not engage.
Yeah.
So
and observe they did. Ronny Le Blanc, thank you so much for being here. Time just flies by when you're in the clubhouse. It's crazy.
I love having the time to chat with you guys about this stuff. It's always so much fun.
Where can people find your show? And we're not allowed. Things are tricky with us here.
Yeah.
During the strike, but as a non-SAG-AFTRA member. In a non-SAG-AFTRA show, where can people find that? We're just covering our bases here.
So my website, RonnyLeBlanc.com. my socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And I'm doing a series of talks throughout Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and some other states, library talks that are free to the public.
Cool.
But then Expedition Bigfoot is finally coming out for season 4 on Discovery Channel, August 30th. And then Paranormal Caught on Camera is currently airing right now, season 6 on Travel Channel. If
people wanted to catch up on Expedition Bigfoot, where might they be able to find past seasons?
Discovery Plus. It's on the new Max platform, which the show is going to be aired on as well, which I'm really excited about. And even Prime, Amazon Prime, you can go and find it there as well.
Fantastic. Well,
Great.
Thanks so much.
You said it, we didn't.
Yeah, you said it, we didn't. Thanks so much for being here. Can't wait to check out all your work and your upcoming work. Thank you so much, Ronnie.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Thanks, Brycey.
All right, everybody. You know what to do. Don't forget to click that follow button on Spotify, Apple, or your favorite podcast app so you never miss a single episode of BCC. We want to hear from you. Please rate and review the show while you're there. And if you drop us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, we might read it on the show, like this one.
This is from Marcus J. Williams, my favorite podcast. I first started listening to BCC at the beginning of the pandemic, and immediately it was a light in dark times. Quickly, it became my all-time favorite podcast. They are hilarious, well-knowledged in high strangeness, and seem like all-around great guys. Recently, I went through a bad breakup, and the first thing I did was take the plunge and join their Patreon of BCC The Other Side, and was not disappointed. Once again, the BCC boys are getting me through another dark time in my life, and for that, I thank them. Much love and 5 stars.
Woo.
Oh, man. Hang in there. You'll get through it.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
you got it, Marcus. No worries, man. And glad we've been a help to you, and glad to see you over on the other side.
Yeah, if you want to be like Marcus and join us over on the other side, check out our Patreon, unlock 3 bonus episodes every month, or our entire, I should say, episode library. You get access to the BCC Discord, discounts on merch, and much more. So upgrade if you want to the Cosmic tier, where you can unlock 3 additional BCC soundtracks by Riley. All of that is over at patreon.com/BigfootCollectorsClub. And if you do sign up, one of the perks is we're going to shout your name out on the air like this. Nicholas Metrick.
Thank you.
Wyvon Bolin.
Thank you.
Shadowman Cosmeteer.
Thank you, Shadowman. Welcome.
Tom Alexander.
Thanks, Tom.
Darren Solier.
Thank you.
Shane Fanoy Moana.
Thank you, Shane.
Una Rose.
Thank you, Una.
Jurassic Mark, back again.
Thanks, Jurassic. Stay this time.
Heather Condit.
Thanks, Heather.
And Ben Spencer, Cosmeteer.
Thank you, Ben. Welcome.
As I mentioned before, follow us on Bigfoot Collectors Club and on Threads and Instagram, and at BCC Pod on TikTok. Write to us at BigfootCollectorsClub@gmail.com with your personal paranormal stories. Follow me on Instagram at McMills. And since I'm not plugging my own stuff, let me plug one more time our friend Suneaters, who wrote the theme song to this show, Come Alone. Usually, you're not hearing it this summer, but you hear it in every other season. Suneaters are playing in Chicago this weekend alongside tours at Phyllis's Musical Inn in Chicago, August 12th. That's this weekend. Band start at 8 p.m. So go check them out. Also, check out Somewhere in the Skies, a great podcast by our friend Ryan Sprague, who wrote that article for the New York Post. If you want to be following and up to date with everything that's coming out in this UFO news, honestly, that's the best podcast to follow. So shout out to Ryan Sprague's Somewhere in the Skies. Go follow him right now.
Yeah, and hey, I'm sure you've been following the news. We are in the middle of a writers and actors strike, and all 3 of us are hardworking union members. So one great way to support us during these tough times is just, join our Patreon. If you've thought about it but haven't had a reason to commit, this is that reason. We need you, and we want you over there to join our incredible community. So do that. Give us a join over there. Appreciate you.
Here. And jumping in on plugging other people's things, I just wanted to give a shout out to Jeremy Corbell, who you will see if you watch the congressional hearing, which is totally worth watching, by the way, is sitting in the front row for like most of it. And I hit him up and I was like, dude, it's amazing to see you sitting there Like you were a part of, why these things are coming to light. You've been poking the bear. And I came to find out that he provided testimony to Congress as well. He wrote a great letter to Congress about the whole thing that was published by Fox News of all places. I mean, whatever your opinions are, they published our friend. He wrote a great letter to Congress. It's historic. It's absolutely worth reading. So you should really just check that out if you want to dive in deeper. He's been a part of this whole thing for a long time, and it's cool to have a friend on the inside.
Yeah, he's a friend of the show. We've had him on a couple times. Go check out his movies if you haven't already. Patient 17, the Bob Lazar, and Secrets of Skinwalker. Great
as well as his podcast with George Knapp, Weaponized.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So,
Great.
check him out.
Love it. Also, don't forget Bigfoot Collectors Club, Bigfoot's Birthday Bash, live in downtown Los Angeles at 2-Bit Circus, August 24th. Get your live stream tickets on popclounge.com. Make sure you're following us on all the socials for updates on that. We'll see you then. Until next time, good night.
And go get regressed. Bigfoot Collectors Club is executive produced by Michael McMillan, Riley Bray, and Bryce Johnson. Our show is engineered, produced, and scored by Riley Bray. Our theme song, Come Alone, is by Suneaters. Follow them on Spotify. Want more BCC? For exclusive full-length episodes every month and total access to the other side, check out patreon.com/Bigfoot Collectors Club.